So for my culture project, I decided to present in a way that represents who I am, which is film. I really enjoy making and directing projects like this, so hopefully I can make more of it when I'm older. But for now, here's how my family, customs, and culture make me who I am today. To start, I'm an only child. On my mom's side, she has 4 sisters and 2 brothers and is a second-generation American. My great-grandparents came to Tacoma, Washington from northern Sweden in search of jobs and a better life. My Swedish roots run on my dad's side as well, except they went to New York instead. There isn't much information on my family past my great-grandparents because my great-great-grandfather was an orphan and had no intel on his birth family. My great-great-grandmother ended up going insane and leaving their kids in the hands of her oldest daughter at age 13, but that's a whole other story. I have a big family on both sides, with about 60 second cousins all living in New York and more from my mom's side all in Spokane. While I do love my big extended family, I wish they lived closer. Luckily, I have my swim family right here. Swimming for West since I was about 5 years old, it truly does feel like home, even if I don't do club swimming any longer. Instead, I now try to pass my love and passion for the sport, coaching and teaching lessons to the next generation of club swimmers at the pool. What I really think holds a tight family bond is the customs and culture we all have together. My parents and I make the long drive to Spokane about 3 times a year to see her side of the family, celebrating Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter as a big family. One thing I always remember is my grandma making the cinnamon cake with me when I was little, all the way up until now. Since the other side of my family is so far away, I only get to see them every other year when we take a family trip together for a few weeks. No matter how far away I am from my family, I can always have a piece with me, thanks to my name. With my mom having 6 siblings, they decided to make a tradition of having the first girl born with our grandmother's name for our middle name. So I share the middle name Kay with my cousins Molly, Tyra, and Emma. Language-wise, we aren't a very diverse bunch. Swedish died out in my family a few generations ago, replaced with New York and Southern accents. However, I have 2 cousins who have family from Cuba, so Spanish makes a small appearance. But neither do the arts. My maternal grandfather's cousin does amazing calendar photography, but other than that, no one is really in the profession. But my mom and I love looking at art galleries, which we do quite often. My favorite one right now is Yona Vaughn, an artist I had the pleasure of meeting and speaking with at the Soil Art Gallery in Seattle. Her art is based around her own femininity, which I think is an interesting message. Soil is the oldest artist-run gallery in North America, and it was amazing to be able to speak with her and support her work. Like I mentioned before, I really do enjoy film, photography, and art, and it plays a big part in my personal aesthetics. I've won awards for art and film before too. My biggest was winning $1,000 last year for charity. My family is Lutheran Christian on my mom's side and strict Catholic on my dad's. My dad and his brother went to a private boys' Catholic school in Long Island, New York, and my grandparents spent a lot of time in church. I, on the other hand, don't spend as much time in church as I'd like to. My parents didn't raise me into a religious household because they wanted me to discover that on my own, but I consider myself Catholic anyways, so in my opinion, they probably could have jumped the gun if they wanted to. While my family is pretty religious on both sides, they're very democratic and vote that way as well, which reflects my views. My parents both have a great education, my mom getting hers at University of Washington and my dad at Southern Connecticut. My mom originally wanted to go into veterinary practice but ended up doing quality control at various environmental labs until she worked at Pan Labs, where she eventually hired my dad as an engineer. My dad didn't know where he wanted to go career-wise in high school and in college, so he took the classes he thought sounded cool and ended up moving to Seattle because he, in quote, liked climbing and fishing and it sounded cool at the time. With only a couple $100s to his name, my dad moved cross-country for the job interview with his soon-to-be wife and mother of his child. He really enjoyed the work at Pan Labs, and after my parents got married and had me, he started working at a company called Seattle Genetics. There, his job is to help create chemo-alternative medication for 2 forms of cancer, Hodgkin and non-Hodgkin lymphoma. My mom occasionally works in quality control, but for now just stays home to take care of me. Overall, my culture is largely based on who my parents are and where my family comes from. For now, I'm still trying to create my own.